I think the most compelling way to approach this storyline in General Hospital is to confront its emotional weight immediately, because I feel like everything happening with Nina and Willow isn't just plot, it's psychological fallout layered with guilt, fear, and a kind of tragic inevitability. In my opinion, this arc has quietly transformed into one of the darkest maternal narratives the show has explored in years. I was shocked at how quickly Willow shifted from someone we once trusted into someone capable of calculated manipulation and violence. I didn't expect the writers to push her this far, but at the same time, I feel like there were subtle warning signs all along. Still, I could be wrong, and this is just my interpretation. What unsettles me the most is Nina's position in all of this. I think Nina is trapped in a nightmare that feels eerily familiar, and I feel like that's intentional. In my opinion, the shadow of Nell still lingers over her life, not just as grief, but as guilt. I was honestly shaken by the idea that Nina might see history repeating itself, not in the exact same way, but in a way that's emotionally even more devastating. I didn't expect Willow, of all people, to become the reflection of Nina's deepest fears. I could be wrong, but it really feels like Nina is starting to believe that she is somehow responsible for creating this pattern of destruction. The comparison between Willow and Nell is something I keep coming back to. I think Nina is subconsciously connecting the two, even if she doesn't say it outright. I feel like she's haunted by the idea that both of her daughters carry something dangerous inside them, something she couldn't prevent. In my opinion, this is where the story becomes less about crime and more about identity and inheritance. I was shocked when Nina finally realized the full extent of Willow's actions, because it wasn't just one mistake, it was a pattern. I didn't expect the list of Willow's crimes to feel so overwhelming, but it did. And I could be wrong, but it seems like Nina's realization is the turning point that pushes her toward a drastic decision. Willow blackmailing Nina is where everything truly spirals. I think this moment changes the power dynamic completely. I feel like Nina, who has always struggled to hold on to control in her life, suddenly finds herself completely cornered. In my opinion, the syringe with Nina's fingerprints is more than just evidence, it's a symbol of how deeply Willow has manipulated her. I was shocked by how calculated Willow was in setting that trap. I didn't expect her to think that far ahead, and it made me question whether this transformation was gradual or if something snapped inside her. I could be wrong, but this feels like a deliberate evolution into villainy rather than a temporary breakdown. At the same time, I think Nina's fear is entirely justified. I feel like she's no longer just worried about herself, she's terrified of what Willow might do next. In my opinion, the danger extends far beyond Drew. I was genuinely unsettled thinking about Michael, Sasha, and even Sasha's child being at risk. I didn't expect the storyline to expand into such a wide circle of potential victims, but it raises the stakes significantly. I could be wrong, but it seems like Nina's decision isn't just about stopping Willow, it's about preventing a catastrophe. The mention of Jacinda adds another layer of tension that I find really intriguing. I think it shows how far Willow is willing to go, even in her thoughts. I feel like when a character starts making threats like that, it signals a point of no return. In my opinion, this isn't just anger, it's something colder and more dangerous. I was shocked imagining Willow reaching that level of intensity because it clashes so strongly with who she used to be. I didn't expect that kind of darkness from her, and it makes the situation feel even more tragic. I could be wrong, but this might be the moment where the audience fully accepts her as an antagonist. Now, Nina's decision to fabricate a mental health record is where things become morally complex. I think this is one of the most controversial choices she's ever made. I feel like it's both an act of love and an act of desperation. In my opinion, Nina isn't trying to destroy Willow, she's trying to save her in the only way she believes is possible. I was shocked by how far Nina was willing to go, especially considering the legal consequences. I didn't expect her to cross that line, but at the same time, I understand why she did. I could be wrong, but this feels like a last resort rather than a calculated scheme. Ferncliff, in this context, becomes more than just a location. It becomes a symbol. I think Nina sees it as a place of containment, but also as a form of protection. I feel like, in her mind, Ferncliff is the lesser evil compared to Pentonville. In my opinion, this distinction is crucial. I was struck by the idea that Nina still wants to shield Willow from the harshest consequences, even after everything she's done. I didn't expect Nina's maternal instinct to remain so strong under these circumstances, but it adds depth to her character. I could be wrong, but this decision might define Nina's legacy as a mother. The contrast between Ferncliff and Pentonville is something I keep analysing. I think it reflects Nina's internal conflict, justice versus compassion. I feel like she's choosing compassion even if it means bending the truth. In my opinion, this is where the story challenges the audience to question what they would do in her position. I was honestly torn thinking about it, because there's no clear right answer. I didn't expect to sympathise with Nina as much as I do, but her fear feels real. I could be wrong, but the show might be setting up a situation where every choice leads to consequences. Looking ahead, I think the reactions from other characters will be intense. I feel like Michael, in particular, will struggle to process the truth about Willow. In my opinion, his reaction could go in multiple directions: anger, denial, or even guilt. I was imagining how devastating it would be for him to realise how much danger he's been in. I didn't expect his storyline to intersect with this in such a dramatic way, but it seems inevitable. I could be wrong, but Michael might become a key figure in exposing or confronting Willow. Sasha's potential return is another element that I think could shift the narrative. I feel like her presence would bring unresolved tension to the surface. In my opinion, Sasha represents both a victim and a witness to Willow's actions. I was thinking about how powerful it would be if Sasha came back and confronted Willow directly. I didn't expect her storyline to remain connected, but it adds continuity. I could be wrong, but Sasha's return might trigger a chain reaction of revelations. Drew's role is also worth examining. I think he's more than just a victim in this scenario. I feel like his recovery, both physical and emotional, could influence how the truth unfolds. In my opinion, Drew might become the catalyst for exposing everything. I was shocked by how central he has become to Willow's actions. I didn't expect him to be targeted in such a calculated way, but it raises questions about what he knows or might discover. I could be wrong, but Drew could hold the key to unraveling the entire situation. As for Willow herself, I think her trajectory is still uncertain. I feel like there's a possibility of redemption, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to imagine. In my opinion, the more she manipulates and threatens, the further she moves away from who she used to be. I was honestly conflicted watching her transformation, because part of me still remembers her as a kind and compassionate person. I didn't expect to feel this level of discomfort toward her character. I could be wrong, but the show might be testing how far a character can fall before redemption is no longer believable. One hypothesis I keep considering is whether Willow is fully aware of her actions, or if there's something deeper influencing her behaviour. I think this is where the mental health angle becomes significant. I feel like the show might explore whether her actions are the result of a psychological condition or a conscious choice. In my opinion, this distinction will shape how the audience perceives her. I was wondering if Ferncliff might actually reveal more about her state of mind. I didn't expect the story to go in that direction, but it could add another layer. I could be wrong, but this might be where the narrative shifts from crime to diagnosis. Another possibility is that Nina's plan could backfire. I think there's a real risk that falsifying records could lead to serious consequences for her. I feel like if the truth comes out, Nina could lose everything. In my opinion, this is what makes her decision so tragic. She's risking her own future to protect her daughter. I was thinking about how devastating it would be if Nina ends up facing legal trouble herself. I didn't expect her to be in such a vulnerable position, but it raises the stakes. I could be wrong, but this might lead to a courtroom drama that exposes everything. I also can't ignore the emotional toll this will take on Nina. I think she's already at her breaking point. I feel like watching her daughter spiral into darkness is something she may never recover from. In my opinion, this storyline is as much about Nina's suffering as it is about Willow's actions. I was deeply affected by the idea that Nina might blame herself for everything. I didn't expect her journey to become this heavy, but it feels authentic. I could be wrong, but this could be one of the most defining arcs of her character. In the end, I think this storyline is heading toward an open-ended resolution rather than a clear conclusion. I feel like there are too many variables for everything to be neatly resolved. In my opinion, the most likely outcome is a mix of consequences, revelations, and emotional fallout. I was imagining a scenario where Willow is sent to Ferncliff, but the truth about Nina's actions slowly comes to light. I didn't expect the story to become this complex, but it makes it more engaging. I could be wrong, but the show might leave us questioning whether Nina made the right choice. This is just my interpretation, but I think the real heart of this story lies in the question of how far a parent will go to protect their child. I feel like Nina's decision, no matter how flawed, comes from a place of love. In my opinion, that's what makes it so powerful and so painful. I was left with a sense of unease, because there's no easy answer. I didn't expect to feel this conflicted, but it shows how effective the storyline is. I could be wrong, but this might be one of those arcs that stays with viewers long after it ends.